Wagwan, everybody. I am your Jamaican Queen, Miss Y. You are tuned into How I See It TV, and this is How I See It Live. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It is a beautiful Saturday afternoon here in sunny South Florida. Well, it's a little bit chilly today, but I like the weather. I like the weather. Compared to last week when I was in Atlanta and I was freezing my peaches off, the the cold that I am feeling here in South Florida is actually what I expected Atlanta to feel like, but you live and you learn. So if next year Melody Cherie has a Winter Wonderland event again in Atlanta, I will know how to pack and how to dress in order to be ready for the weather there. Okay? Before I get into today's topics, please remember to like this video, share the link to my channel if you feel like the content needs some more crowd, subscribe if you have not done so as yet. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, now called X, at How I See It, and on TikTok at How I See It TV. First things first, on the top of my list is Kimmy Scott and the hypocrisy and the movements of the goalposts. Now, I said this over there on Instagram that Melody was not being covert in asking her questions. I hate when people say, "Oh, finally somebody's clocking Melody being messy." I think we're all watching the same show, right? I think we are very much aware. And at this point in time, we all know how reality TV works. We all know that Melody Cherie knows that she's shooting. She is filming for a TV show, a reality TV show, where at some point in time, her castmates are going to hear the conversations that she's having. They're going to see the things that she's saying. They're going to witness and observe what she has to say in confessionals and in scenes with other castmates. So, is Melody being clocked for being messy, or was Melody purposefully in her messy bag? Was she purposefully asking questions? And what did Kimmy actually check? Like these words sometimes that people use, oh, Kimmy checked Melody. Did she check her? Did she check Melody? Cause I don't see in the scene so far from what we're about to see tonight, I don't see that as her checking Melody. They're having a conversation. It's a conversation that honestly I don't even feel like Kimmy wants to have. But for the purpose of a TV show, they have to have this sit down and they have to talk about it. So, okay, whatever. Melody wasn't hiding that she was being messy. She asked the questions. She asked the questions of Latesha. She asked the questions of Maurice. And truthfully, she asked Kimmy the questions too. Kimmy chose not to answer. Tisha chose not to answer. Maurice, he is trying to go around corners, right? Because it at that point in time, it was still a pending legal matter. All right. So there's that. But what I felt was very, very interesting in the sneak peek was Kimmy saying that Melody going around talking to everybody and, making, statements regarding lipsticks on Maurice's clothes or lips or whatever is just not cool. And I'm like, there y'all go with the hypocrisy. There y'all go with moving the goalposts again when it comes to Melody. Because according to your sister-in-law, Kimmy, y'all were very much aware that Martel was going around showing private, intimate videos of his ex-wife. Whether y'all believe that it was another man or not, the fact is he was showing private, intimate videos of his ex-wife, and y'all sat around watching it, talking about it, probably laughing about it, having your opinions about it behind Melody's back, and none of y'all said anything. Now, which is worse? Which is worse? A little gossip about where Maurice was coming from the morning or the night he got arrested, or a group of people standing around watching intimate videos of a woman without her consent. And let's go back to that Atlanta guys trip that Maurice and Marcel were on, where Coleslaw showed up. And all of them were there, keying with the side piece, posing and smiling for a picture that she took while Melody was home with her and Martel's kids. And all those guys left that guys trip, and I'm sure they went home and they told their wives, "Oh yeah, you, honey, you won't believe what Martel did. You know he was up on you. He was on that guys trip with his mistress." And not one of y'all told Melody, but y'all laughed and snickered behind her back about it, right? And then as the show started to film, let's not forget that limo scene where y'all were he and ha about Martel and his infidelity, and how y'all can't believe that the then Holtz were about to celebrate their 10-year wedding anniversary after Martel wasn't able to keep his penis in his household, and y'all found that funny. That was behind Melody's back. And Kimmy, this season alone, you sat there and you said that when Melody explained why she had to go and file a police report, it started to make sense for you because you didn't give her that much credit in the first place. But y'all sat in that scene acting as if y'all didn't understand why Melody had to report Martel's behavior when y'all were sitting around watching the videos, or your husbands were sitting around watching the videos. Those things weren't cool, but y'all were doing it. Y'all were doing it to her. And as Miss Wanda, continues to get on her Instagram and her YouTube lives, bashing Melody, having Melody's mom in name in her mouth, having Melody's children's um paternity in her mouth. Y'all sat around and allowed that. I guess that was cool. But now all of a sudden, your husband is in clear hot water. And you need to have a sit down with Melody, because it's not cool that she would be asking people questions about what Maurice was up to for him to have been arrested at whatever hour it was in the morning with what looks like color on his clothes and on his lips. Could be from the liquor, or it could be from something else. But let's not act as if y'all haven't sat around in several scenes speculating and making comments and giving commentary on Melody's life and her situation with Martel for seasons now. But in the words of Candace Dillard Bassett, the line is always moving, child. The line is always moving. It's all of the hypocrisy for me. That for years y'all sat around knowing all the things that Martel was doing to that woman, and y'all sat around and y'all laughed about it, Kimmy. Y'all laughed about it. Y'all talked about it behind her back. But how dare Melody get her lick back and ask about why Maurice was arrested in the wee hours of the morning with what looks like lipstick on his lips or on his shirt collar? And let's not forget during that Houston trip how you were in a pool, Kimmy, talking about how it was corny for Melody to do a name changing ceremony to get rid of the Holt last name when y'all knew in that moment on that Houston trip about the Revenge P plot. And y'all knew it wasn't even a plot at that point in time because all y'all's husbands knew that he was going around showing videos of Melody. But you thought it was corny that she would celebrate getting rid of the whole last name, Kimmy? But it's a problem. It's a problem for her to get in her little messy bag. The one time the one time in how many seasons Melody got in her little messy bag and she's like, well, your husband's out here doing stuff, so let's talk about it. That's not cool. Girl, if you don't get away with us with that, hey, Venus, get away from us with that, Kimmy. You wanted that scene with Melody because you wanted a moment. And you're gonna go to the reunion and you're gonna have more smoke for Melody asking about Maurice's whereabouts than you did for your own husband when he sat up in an interview and said, you have to roll over and power through intimacy while you were going through chemo. And this is why people say you're male, super male identified, Kimmy. Kimmy, that little soft spot I had for you done just gone away, child. It has left the building. You have more smoke for Melody asking about some lipstick stains or supposed lipstick stain on Maurice's shirt than you had for your husband, who was out here telling you that the reason you didn't feel like being physical with him was all in your head and it had nothing to do with you going through cancer and chemo. Make that make sense. Somebody. Make that make sense. Hi, Inez. It's gonna go down, Inez, but honestly, it's like Melody, you could tell Melody in that scene didn't care. It was like, girl, it's reality TV. You know what it gives. We gonna ask messy questions. We gonna ask messy conversations. And it's your job to now come and have a one-on-one sit down with me, acting like you're all in your feelings about what I said. Whatever. You could tell Melody did not give not one iota. She didn't care. She's like, girl, you're acting like I can't ask questions. Like, what the hell? How many questions have y'all asked about my life? And me asking this one little messy question is what you're up in arms about? Girl, if you don't go sit down somewhere and go check your husband. Because what's crazy is Kimmy sat on Carlos King's panel and said, everybody knows I don't like it. I don't like that Maurice stays out until wee hours of the morning. And I told them before this show was even, before we even started filming the pilot, that I don't want anybody talking about what Maurice does after 5. But you don't want to talk about that on the show. But you want to check Melody for asking a messy question? Girl, bye. Girl, bye. Oh, that's what you're talking about? Wait, that's the third thing on my list, Inez. We gonna get there. Now let's get to Letitia Pearson and Latrice trying to do damage control last night, trying to gaslight the heck out of the audience that watched an entire scene where Willie and Aikisha were minding their business, being cordial, being friendly, being supportive. And Glenn walked up in there on some aggressive type energy. And Cliff joined in on that aggression. First, it was passive aggressive, and then it became outright aggression. And then their wives joined in on it too. Cliff got upset with his chest how much he don't like Willie. I don't like Willie. I'll tell anybody who will listen, I don't like Willie. But because Aikisha said, we don't give a F if you don't like us. Like, what? We're not losing sleep. Why you all drunk and rowdy, shouting at the top of your lungs that you don't like us? Like, boys, sit down. They hate that couple because they exemplify Black excellence. It is jealousy, Letitia. You are jealous of Aikisha. It's clear. It's clear. At least from where we are watching the show, from the standpoint we're watching the show from. And all that Live did last night was set up a lawsuit because y'all sat on that panel, Letitia and Latrice, and said for a fact that Aikisha set up people to unalive you, Letitia. And I asked in the chat, you are saying for a fact that you know that Aikisha set up people to unalive you? And Letitia said yes. And I said, this sounds like hearsay. And Latrice is going to say, it's not hearsay. I had to explain to her what hearsay is. Girl, hearsay means that you didn't hear this information firsthand, that it was brought to you by somebody who's saying that they heard it from somebody else. But y'all sitting up on your panel trying to do damage control because what the episode showed was that both y'all's husband started it with Willie and Aikisha and they finished it. So y'all not about to sit and gaslight me into feeling like I didn't watch what I watched. First of all, Glenn slapping Willie's hand away, that was assault. That man stretched his hand out to say, hey, bro, happy birthday. And he slapped that man's hand away. And the man's like, wait, what's going on? What's the problem? And then Glenn and Cliff, they started being outright disrespectful. And his wife was just supposed to sit there and not say anything, especially when they start to make snide remarks about her. And Cliff is going to say, well, I don't have a problem with your wife, but I have a problem with you. Yeah, if that was my husband, I would also say, well, if you got a problem with my husband, you got a problem with me. What you mean? What am I supposed to do? Sit there and laugh and say, oh, thank you for not having a problem with me while you're in my face disrespecting my husband? No, you got a problem with me if you got a problem with my husband. And Letitia and Latrice want to sit on Instagram to make it seem as if Aikisha was wrong or she was hyping up her husband because she said, I don't give a F if y'all don't like us. How is that hyping her husband up? How is it hyping her husband up to say, if you're standing up in your wife's event yelling at the top of your lungs that you don't like my husband, but you're cool with me. And I say to you, well, if you feel so strongly about my husband, then you got a problem with me too. So might as well say you don't like me either. I don't care about your respect if you're sitting in my face disrespecting my husband. And Glenn got all bucked because Willie had to let him know I'm him. I'm who you really want to be. All my accomplishments is really what you want to have. And that's why you keep making these little slick remarks about me. And it's quite telling that Letitia and Latrice had to be the ones to sit on Instagram last night playing cleanup crew because of their husband's behavior. And nobody on that live, for the most part, believed their version of the story that, oh, what happened, what really happened. Y'all didn't really get to see what really happened. And it was Aikisha who brought all these people to the event to fight me. And I'm like, I'm in the chat, like, so out of nowhere, Aikisha just woke up one morning and told all her cousins to roll up to Latrice's event to fight y'all. Somebody tell me if that makes any kind of sense, because it don't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Aikisha just woke up one morning and said, I got this super deep beef with Letitia Pearson and Latrice Rogers. And because this beef is so intense, I need all my cousins from the hood to roll up to unalive her. That makes no sense. And this is why I had to be in that chat last night. Like, y'all are not making any sense. This sounds like a whole made up story to deflect from y'all's husband's behavior. Because if Aikisha and Willie really did come up in that event on some we're about to start some mess, then they would have been the ones to start it. They didn't. So it's given, if we're supposed to believe Letitia Pearson's version of the story, it seems like y'all were really trying to set Aikisha and Willie up. And they probably clocked it, still decided to show up for the scene to be professional, to do their job as reality TV stars, to sit in that scene and be cordial, but still have their backup ready in case y'all tried something and y'all's husbands tried something. Because that's what it looks like from where I'm standing. If I'm supposed to believe any part of Letitia Pearson's story, because it just doesn't make sense that Aikisha would just, with everything that she has to lose and everything that Willie has to lose, they would just wake up one morning and say, we got beef with these people. We need all our cousins to roll up and we gonna get the party jumping. It don't make sense. And you know somebody is lying when their story, it just doesn't make sense. And I said to Latrice, girl, it's a reason you and Letitia haven't been friends for 1.5 years now. It's a reason. Girl, if I were you, I would get off this alive because now she has put you in my opinion, a lawsuit. Because to sit there on that live and say, you know, for a fact that Aikisha got people to come to the event to unalive you, that sounds like some BS. And that's defamation of character. That's defamatory. And so I hope that Aikisha got herself a screen recording of that live and she sends it off to the best attorney there is down there in Mississippi and she makes them feel it. Now let's get to Martel and Coleslaw, child. Oh Lord. Mm-mm-mm. All I gotta say is Melody's name is Bennett and she not in it. Not a soul can blame Melody for anything that's about to transpire. Nobody can say Melody tried to ruin my marriage. Hi, Auntie Cece, how are you? Nobody can say that this time around. Nobody can look at Melody and say, "Oh, you're walking around saying this and that, and it's not cool," because Melody has minded her business. But a part of me feels like this is a setup to get Ariane on the show. That the Scots and Martel, they've designed, and you know what? Maybe I'm giving them too much credit. But my thing is, when this side piece becomes in a brand new way, right? In a brand new way. Now she is eh, now it's not just about her being Martel's side piece cuz Martel's divorced now, he can be with whoever he wants. Now it's about her coming for the Scots. So now that she is now wrapped up in the Scott storyline in this major way, will it mean that they're going to find a way to usher her onto the show? Or are the Scots going to say, we're putting our foot down and this chick better never come on the show or we're not going to film? Like, is that what's going to happen? Like, I don't know. A part of me feels like it's all a setup to get her on the show. Martel, Marsaw, all of them are in cahoots to get this chick on the show. And they're willing to throw out all these little stories and breadcrumbs and interviews and all of that to make it happen. Because all these years they've been protecting Martel. It's kind of crazy to me that all of a sudden they have just turned on him so badly. But then again, if this isn't a setup and these people are really going at it, well, good for them. Good for y'all. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be a train wreck. And I'm just glad that my fave is nowhere near it. So, all the people who would have loved to do reviews tonight talking about Melody versus Kimmy, yeah, that's going to be overshadowed with Hotel and his side piece doing a whole Tasha K style sit down with some what looks like some random chick talking about she was messing around with Marsaw and didn't know that he was married. I don't know. Let's see what's gonna happen. But it's a mess. It is a mess. This show has become Love and Hip Hop. And Love and Hip Hop, they have literally evolved into something so much better, actually. Love and Hip Hop used to be like bottom of the barrel ratchet TV. And now they have really like transformed that show into something that's really, really fun to watch. And you can tell that a lot of it is like scripted and whatever. But for the most part, I enjoy love and hip hop. I enjoy it to the point where I don't want to review it. Because reviewing it is gonna take the fun out of watching it. And y'all know I'm watching to support my girl Spice because she is Jamaican through and through. But Love and Marriage Huntsville is sadly what love and hip hop used to be. And I'm sad that Melody still has to be a part of a show that's becoming that. She designed something that was great. She had an amazing idea, an amazing vision for what she wanted this show to be. Carlos took over the direction of the show. I think Melody trusted him a little bit to carry out her vision in the best way possible. And he has turned it into just a messy, 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 messy show with no real resolution, with people who are being arrested every other day, with a woman who has been made the villain in people's story when she was never the villain to begin with. The villain was always Martel playing manipulator. And Melody took on all the blame. She took on all the blame because that was her husband. And then when she divorced him, these people listened to his side of the story and believed all his lies and isolated her and again made her the villain. And then when they started to realize that Martel was actually the bad guy in the story, it was a little too late because Melody didn't desire their friendship. She didn't desire their support anymore. And she didn't need it because she had the support of her fans who was calling the BS out. She had the support of her real friends who knew the full story. And she had the support in some aspects of the law that convicted Martel of DV in the third degree. So let's see what happens tonight, y'all. It's going to be crazy, but we're going to be watching and we're going to be talking about it. Okay? So thank y'all for listening. Let me tell you how StreamYard changed its layout, and I couldn't find stuff earlier when I went live, but I think I'm understanding the new layout now. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate everybody that was here. I saw Venus, I saw Ines Martin, and I saw Auntie Cece. Thank y'all for being in the yard. Replay gang, remember to drop down in the comments section and let me know how you see things too. And until later, y'all, I think I might go live later, depending on how everything plays out on the show. And then with, because I'm a content creator. Let's just be for real. I'm a content creator, so I'ma tune in to see what Coleslaw and Martel got going on, and I may or may not give my commentary because I'm already out here laughing at her being in the same shoes that she's been in for like 5 years now. Okay, I'm already laughing at that. So let's see if I'm gonna be clowning, but for me, and let me tell y'all this. I have this stance when it comes to Martel, and I'm gonna explain why. I understand that a broken clock can be right twice a day. I understand that. But in the same way, I feel like he lies on Melody, is the same way I'm going to probably watch this little sit down of theirs and say, he's probably lying on the Scots. But then on the next hand, he could also be telling the truth. I don't know if y'all understand what I'm saying. I think it's weird to say somebody is a liar. Oh, they always lie, they always lie, they always lie. But when it's convenient for our narrative, we say, oh, they're absolutely telling the truth on this. I'm just going in to watch this with a grain of salt. And when somebody's telling the truth, it doesn't require a whole bunch of explanation. The truth is just what it is. And when you hear the truth, you know that you're hearing the truth. When you're listening to a lie, all the alarm bells start going off in your brain, and you start saying instinctively, that does not make sense. So I think for most of the content creators who are especially melody fans, we're just watching to see the train wreck. And we might decide to provide commentary on it, you know? So that's what I'm going to do. So, all right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see y'all in these YouTube streets. So, walk good. Bye.